All right, here we go with weather for Weather Geeks, the Wednesday evening edition here for January the 20th. The snow today, overachieved, especially south of Route 224. This little system had a little more oomph to it than we had bargained for, and certainly any of the models had bargained for. And one of the culprits today, something we talk about oftentimes in the winter, the snow to liquid ratio. A lot of times you hear that 10 inches of snow is roughly equivalent to about 1 inch of liquid, or if it were rain. But sometimes when you have cold air masses and snow, you get these ratios that are much higher. And at minimum, today's snow ratios were probably 30 to 1, perhaps even 40 to 1. So you squeezed out a lot of snow out of very, very little liquid. It was very light, fluffy snow. And when you have that fluffy snow that has very little moisture in it, it can accumulate more rapidly than moisture-laden, kind of wet snow. So that was one of the culprits today. So 2, even 3 inches of snow in some spots, especially in Columbiana County this afternoon. So not a good forecast by us today, but we'll do better next time, that's for sure. This does happen from time to time in the winter season, though. The radar at 7:10 p.m., little deceiving. I think there's still a little bit of light snow or some flurries across our viewing area, even though the radar is not showing much. We don't expect any additional accumulations for tonight. It's mostly just a little mood snow. Now, as we take a broader view of the country, 2 systems. One is our little appetizer system moving through now, and then this is what becomes the big monster storm that's going to cruise down through the deep south and then go up the eastern seaboard by Friday, Saturday, and into parts of Sunday. It doesn't look like much now, but it will become a colossal storm, especially for the mid-Atlantic states. In the near term, our weather looks pretty quiet for tomorrow. We'll see a mixed bag of clouds and sunshine tomorrow. It'll be cold, below average, but nothing unusual for January. We're talking mid-20s for tomorrow afternoon. Now, our storm starts to come into focus here by Thursday night and into Friday morning. The first areas that we'll see some pretty big impacts will be parts of Kentucky and Tennessee, and then the spine of the southern Appalachians, and even out into the Piedmont of North and South Carolina. This is going to be a problem with ice for them down there. As this low continues making its way towards the coast, the snowstorm then gets underway late Friday into Friday night for D.C., for Baltimore, for Philadelphia, Roanoke, heading up towards Hagerstown. And then, boy, it's a real sharp cutoff on the northern fringes of this. We're talking a matter of just miles, going from seeing a few flakes to seeing certainly enough to shovel and plow, and if not a big event. The northern fringes of this, there's going to be a very sharp cutoff in the accumulations. And late Friday night into Saturday morning, I can't rule out that the southeastern corner of our viewing area sees a little bit of snow out of this, but for the most part, this is a total miss for our viewing area. This is the NAM model showing just ridiculous snow totals. When you start seeing these dark greens on the map, that's never a good thing. It's printing out, over 2 feet of snow in a lot of places. Now, it hasn't in too many places probably, but still, this is off the charts snow here from western North Carolina, up through parts of West Virginia, western Virginia, and then into some of the bigger cities, including D.C. and Baltimore. But notice on the NAM how sharp the cutoff is. You go from the green colors to nothing in a very short distance, by the way the crow flies, in Pennsylvania, and you have that similar gradient in parts of West Virginia, and heading up towards the New York City area. The New York City forecast, a very tough one for forecasters over there with this storm. Now, that was the NAM model. Here's the, let me get out of this for just a second, and I need to fix this so you can see this full map. This is the snow map I made by hand for the storm. I have 24 plus in the pink area, much of western Virginia, parts of West Virginia, parts of Maryland, D.C., Baltimore, Philly, 12 to 24 seeming real likely. New York City, kind of on the border of 6 to 12, 12 to 24. And then it's a real tough call up in the southern New England area as well, including Boston and Providence. Once we get into our viewing area, of course, we've been talking about how the chances have been lowering, and I've got, just a token chance of maybe an inch or so Friday night down towards Calcutta, East Liverpool, maybe Salineville, and then maybe the southeastern corner of Lawrence County around Elwood City. But that's about it. The closer you get to Pittsburgh, of course, from Beaver Falls down towards Pittsburgh, snow chances increase, and even some accumulations. Pittsburgh should see a couple or a few inches at minimum out of this. But our viewing area being spared this time around. I mentioned the ice down in the deep south. This is a big problem. I mean, we're talking a quarter to maybe a half an inch worth of ice, and that's enough to cause tree limbs to come down, power line problems. This is for the Charlotte area especially, heading over into the upstate of South Carolina. So that's a big problem for them down there. All right, here closer to home, let's talk a little more about our weather. Our weekend weather is going to be pretty quiet. There's our big storm Saturday morning, moving off the coast and producing just tremendous snow rates in Philly and back here towards the nation's capital. Boston's not in it just yet. It's the GFS model I'm showing. So we go into Saturday night and Sunday. Again, the southern New England's a tough forecast. Probably not a big storm for Boston, but maybe enough to shovel. New York City continuing to see the snow Saturday night, and then the storm is off the playing field by midday on Sunday. And high pressure will build across, and with that high almost right overhead, Sunday afternoon should be pretty nice. We'll have a good deal of sunshine. Near freezing for afternoon highs, and then a cold night coming up under a clear sky Sunday night. Next weather system, late Monday into Monday night, might actually drag in enough warm air, or milder air, I should say, that it could be a rain shower. And then this system, a weak one, but it will drag in some somewhat cooler air for midweek, and there'll be some kind of token flurries middle of next week. No big storms shown on the models for next week. It just looks like kind of a ho-hum winter pattern for us for the final stretch of January. Been talking about how February is likely to start mild. Notice the upper level pattern here evolving as we head into February. First of all, a decent little cool shot, little trough coming in second half of next week. Not as cold as the current air mass, but colder than average. And so that little dip in the jet stream lifts out towards next weekend, the 29th here shown, and then as we transition into February, watch the jet stream buckle over eastern Canada. A ridge starts popping along the east coast, and you even get a little high-pressure zone down over the Caribbean, around Cuba. That's this kind of semicircular area down here. That's a place, when the high is there, that means warmth is being pumped out of the southwest into the eastern U.S., and I think we've got a good shot at seeing some above-average temperatures for several days early in February. Here's the GFS ensemble temperature anomalies for the 10 to 15-day period. This takes us from the 30th to the 4th. And east of the Mississippi, a lot of mild air here. Could we see a 50-degree reading in this stretch? Sure, it's possible. Certainly not the kind of start to February that we had last year. Overall, February this year will not be like last year, although the whole month will not be quite this mild. So stay tuned for the entire month of February forecast. We'll do that a little bit closer to the first of the month. Thank you for watching the Wednesday Night Weather for Weather Geeks. 21 News tonight at 11. You can check out my 7-day forecast and everything else you need to know. More Weather Geeks posted in this same place Thursday evening around 7:30 or 8. Have a great night.